Hi, Gary. Welcome to Coffee Talk podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. I was looking through your profile. Really good, really amazing LinkedIn you have there. I really love your personalized cover because it can really tell so much about you. So, you
Mhm,
are a senior college student studying international business,
mhm.
but you already have 6 or even more years of work experience, which it's completely mind blowing. And you've had experiences in places such as NASA, EU, United Nations, you are also a polyglot. You speak 5 languages.
Yeah.
Really cool. I thought that you also speak Portuguese, so we can also make that shift and learning Mandarin, I guess. So
Yes.
that's really amazing. And then on top of all of this, you're studying, plus you're on the operations front at one salting. So yeah, welcome. Tell me your
Thank you.
story. Tell me what drives you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on here as a speaker, I would say. But yeah, for my languages, I'm very passionate about meeting people and creating meaningful connections with them. So growing up, I realized that I don't want languages to be, a challenge for me to connect with other people. So yeah, even English is not my first language, so I had to learn that as well, and I'm still learning it. But yeah, I'm a polyglot. I was raised in a, polyglot household where I speak Haitian Creole at home. When I go to school, I speak French. And then I learn English because my tennis coach was American. So I started learning English from him. And then I started learning Portuguese and then Chinese Mandarin as well when I was interested into East Asian studies.
Okay, that's really incredible. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you had this growing up, but I heard of some people who are polyglots that they struggle because they like mix languages. And I know like what you mean with the English because it's also not my first language. So it's like I'm
Mhm.
learning and then sometimes I unlearn when I speak too much Portuguese or any other language.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't really struggle too much about it. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes I don't know which word to use. Like when I go back home to Haiti, I have to train my brain to get used
Mhm.
to being in Haiti, because then I would end up speaking English the whole time, because that's what I've been using most of the time since I've been in the US. But yeah, I guess the most questions I get about my languages is like people like to ask me, how do you think? What language do you use to think? Do you think in English? Do you think in Portuguese? The same as dreams, what language do you dreams and your dreams, like what
Mhm.
language do you use and stuff. So it's pretty interesting, but it's a cool skills to have, and just being out there to have access to people with different backgrounds.
Yeah, I really agree. Because some people they think mostly in their mother tongue or English if you use it for so long. So
Mhm.
when you know, you can connect better, right? Like heart to heart or people to people.
For sure, yeah.
Amazing, yeah. My next question to you is how do you go about time management? How are you able to juggle all your work, studies, projects, and your personal life, I guess, because I saw that you also dance and do a lot of cool things. So
Yeah.
tell me, for someone that doesn't know like how to even manage their personal life and work, how to time manage?
Yeah. Well, I enjoy the things that I do. So even though it looks like a lot, like today I have a lot of meetings, I have a lot of projects I'm working on. So I have a lot going on with like schools and playing tennis and work. You can name them all, but I make sure that I enjoy what I'm doing, and once you enjoy what you're doing, you'll know how to manage your time because you're passionate about it, right? When you're passionate about something, you'll give it extra care, right? That could be a meeting you
Mhm.
have coming up, or that could be a project you're working on. As long as you're enjoying it and you're open to it, the time management will come naturally. You will not procrastinate it on it. Compared to homework, for example, I procrastinate on my homework all the time because most of the time I don't want to do my homework because I'm not that passionate about them, right? But like for things that I choose to do, like the projects and things like that, internships, I do make sure that I have the time to do them, and I try not to do things that I'm not gonna be passionate about, or things that I don't see myself contributing to that will have a greater impact on the mission behind it. So yeah, don't overstress time management. it should come
Mhm.
not really naturally, but like it should come just within. You have to be very passionate about what you're doing, because no matter how much time you put to invest into something, if you're not passionate about it, then you won't really see the full result or satisfaction once you're done.
Yeah, I really like that tip because I always see like how to be more productive and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And one thing they really stress is that if you're not doing something you enjoy, you
Right.
can stress yourself so much, but that's when burnout comes in because you're trying to do something you don't enjoy, so you just
Mhm.
force yourself to do it, and in the long term, it's not worth it. I mean, this can also happen with passion projects because it's like mental health balance and everything, but yeah, when you enjoy what you're doing, so yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
And what do you think are the benefits of a student? Because I mean, in the end, you are still a student looking for full-time roles, but you are studying. What are
Yeah.
the benefits of, at the same time as your studies, balancing a job and work experience?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the person. I get that question a lot. I would say personally for me, I learn best by doing things. So, like sometimes, like for example, my junior year, I was taking classes in global operations, international management, things like that. But then I realized that it would be best to have an internship as I'm learning that in class, and then I can use that in the internship, right? Or throughout the internship. So that's when I did my internship with Selena, as a global operation. So I got to, learn in the classroom and also learning from real experience, because that's what being a business student is about. That's what being any kinds of student is about. It's about the practice, right? It's about the knowledge and also the practice, being able to do the things that you learn in class. So I try to do both, and especially right now with COVID too, it makes it way much easier to still being able to go to school and also to have a remote virtual internship. So I've been able to do that, and it does bring advantages because you are graduating with a lot of experiences, pretty good resume. You have, like when I'm writing my resume, I have a lot of options of things I can put on my resume, and therefore I have more, like I would most likely to stand out throughout the application compared to someone who doesn't gain any work experiences doing doing their time in school. So that's my advantage of having to do school and also having an internship at the same time.
Okay, so it's the practical side. I think some
Definitely.
schools they do try to balance the theory and the practical aspect of it for the
Mhm,
exact same reason you said. In Portugal, where I studied most of the time,
mhm,
it's very heavy on theory and very, how would I put it? Like the GPA is very important. It's
mhm.
very overestimated. And so because of that, then it leaves you not so much time for you to actually work or have
Yeah,
something on the side. I mean, not
right.
all universities, but at least from my personal experience. So I've always wondered, like, oh, I would love to have a job because sometimes I think like I'm learning something, and then
Yeah,
it's just lost because I've never actually applied it or I've never
mhm,
actually seen what it is like in real life. So
mhm. Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's a culture difference there, because here in America, yes, GPA is a big thing too, but
Mhm.
it's also, it depends on your major too. Like for us business students, it's about connections, like people as well as what you can bring on the table. And then your GPA comes after that, because like right now I'm interviewing with companies and none of them ask me about my GPA. Like no one cares, especially if you have a good resume. That's all they care about, that you can get the job done, like, because your GPA doesn't really define your worth.
Mhm.
But yeah, some countries, they do focus mostly on the GPA. But that's, I mean, yeah, things are changing, so that might be one of them.
Let's see if it changes soon because I also don't agree with you. Like you're not a number, and your GPA does not like define you,
Yeah.
as you said. But at the same time, it's like if you have, let's say, in Portugal it's until 20. So I'm saying if you have like a 10 or 11 or 12, or in
Mhm.
US, let's say like below 2.5 or something,
Yeah.
that means that you actually didn't do your job well, which was being a
Right.
student.
Hmm.
So to a degree, I think it should count, but like to the
Hmm.
extent of like, oh, you have a 3.8, so you're worse than a 4. No, I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when you talk about networking and it's about the people you know and how proactive you are, Is it about people you know in university, or people you are proactive to reach out to outside of university?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's being able to use your resources. And by networking, you can do that within your school. And sometimes you have to go outside of your school. Like especially for me, like I have a great I'm going to a good school, but they're not really known for um like business students, right? They are mostly known for their biology program, their nursing programs, things like that. And therefore, when I needed certain resources or access to certain things, my school wasn't able to really provide me all of that. So I have to go outside of it and network with people who comes from different schools, different backgrounds as compared to me, and then they were able to kind of like help me and kind of guide me to where I wanted to be. So it's okay if you have resources at your school that you can use, and I would definitely recommend to start with your school because that's like you right there with them every single day. But I would definitely also recommend to go outside of that because there's a bunch of people out there, who wants to help you. And all you have to do is to just reach out to them. There's you won't lose anything. You just give it a try. So
Yeah, that's really really true. And of course, like in
mhm,
your school and wherever you're doing, you can find common points with people. So that's easier if you come from a similar background. But
mhm,
for someone who is completely new to networking and
mhm.
has no idea how to reach out, how would you go about it?
Yeah. So I would say definitely the first thing you need to ask yourself before you even think about networking is to get to know yourself. Because the whole purpose of networking is to reach out to people. And therefore, you need to know yourself by knowing what you want. Once you know what you want, then you'll know, who's out there that you're gonna attract, right? Um, like for me, like can I network with someone in biology or coming from like a doctoral background? No, it doesn't match up with what I need. So you need to know what you want in life and then what resources do you have right now that you can use, and then ask yourself what resources are you missing, and then based
Mhm.
on what you're missing at the moment, then you find someone to help you close the gap, right? You don't need one mentor, you don't need one group of network of people, you reach out to them at the moment, and then as you go on the next 2 months or the next 5 years, you're gonna need new things, and therefore you're gonna have to start over to like different people. So with networking, I would say definitely get to know yourself, and then be try to have you know um authentic relationship, be authentic about it, and have meaningful relationship, I would say. And then from there things will happen.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take your point because
Yeah.
that's really really important. I really agree, but I would like to understand it better because when you say just understand yourself, just like figure out what you want in life,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said that it changes over time and according to the steps that you give, and I really agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how do you find yourself? How do you understand what you want? Because I think so many students and so many people in their early careers, they take steps that just appear in front of them without questioning
Mm-hmm.
them, and then they realize it might not be the right step, but then they're like, okay, then what is the right step? So I think that's
Right.
why people end up just staying in a place they don't like. So
Yeah.
how do you find yourself?
Yeah, yeah, it's not easy to figure out what you want to do with your life. Like even myself, I'm still confused sometimes. But I would say by getting to know yourself, it's basically, take the time to sit down and then talk with yourself and just like put anything that you have on your heart, like put it out. And then from there, you'll see who you are. What's your story? What do you see yourself doing? Like for me, I was raised in a household where my parents wanted me to be a doctor. That was my only option growing up, to be a doctor. So I spent my whole high school like studying for biology and things like that. And I was really good at it. But then I realized in college, I did not want to be a doctor. I like to travel. I like to be out there talking to people. I like business, things like that. I like to work with underprivileged youth. And therefore, then I realized that was my passion. That's what I wanted to do, at least for now. And of course, that will not stay forever, right? So I'm not going to be probably a business guy forever, right? So, but at least for now, that's what I'm called to do, and I'm gonna do that at my best, abilities. But then that vocation will change as you go on with your life, and that's okay. That's why you don't want to get too attached to a situation or an environment that will stop you from going after your next call in life.
Okay, so many good insights that you gave us. And
Yeah.
okay, and is there like a frequency in which you think people should sit down and introspect and really reflect? Or think this is a more ongoing thing, just like sit down every week and see like what happened in that week, if it's aligned, or it's more of like an intuition kind of thing?
Yeah, I feel like society wants us to keep going, like go, 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 go. But
Mm-hmm.
it's good to stop for a little bit, go on a retreat or take a day off where you just sit down with your thoughts, write them down, question yourself, and go through a healing process, because a lot of those things play a big part of knowing who you are and what you want to do with your life. At least that was my process, right? I'm not gonna say everybody's the same, so that was my process. So if someone can relate to that, they can definitely kind of like approach the same process. But if your situation is different, then find someone that you can relate to, find someone who can understand you and who can help you get outside of the box to fully know yourself, and then to also help you understand what you are worth of, and then you can go for them.
Okay, really, really important. And I was looking at a study the other day about people who journal because exactly like it's like, okay, it works for me. I would like to tell that it works for everyone,
Hmm.
but sometimes it just doesn't. But then
Yeah.
there are these studies that are backed up by science, and it
Mhm.
basically said that people who journal on a regular basis seem to be happier than people who don't,
Mhm.
simply because all these inner like turmoil that we have, if you put it
Yeah.
into paper, whether it's like you recording a podcast or you just speaking. Sometimes I there was a time I had like a WhatsApp group just with myself. I like added a friend and then kicked out my friend just with me, and
Yeah.
whenever I was like, my head's exploding, I'm going to just record a voice note. So I would record it and just put it there. It feels like it's out in the world. And if it's out, inside, you are more organized.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like the baseline as well.
That's good. Yeah, I personally don't journal. Like, I don't write things
Hmm.
down because my thoughts process go faster than I can write. So it takes me longer to write something than thinking about it. So whenever I need to get something out of my chest, I just take my phone and then I start talking, and then I record myself talking. It's
Hmm.
that's how I approach my own situation. That's how I talk to myself. But some people definitely, yeah, writing your thoughts down, whatever ways you have, definitely go with it. Some people just go to a friend and talk it out from there. So yeah, just there's plenty of options out there to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 21st century. There's what there is not missing are options.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, and what do you think about this idea of finding your dream job? Do you think there's a dream job? What do you think about it?
Yeah. I think that I personally don't think there's a dream job for me.
Mhm,
Um I don't think there's a dream company for me. Because again, life goes on. You go through things, you experience things. Therefore, at this moment you might find a company to be attractive, or like you want to work
mhm,
at it, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean it's a dream company. Like, I've seen some people who work at a company for like 14 years, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do you do that? I do not see myself working for a company for that long, like 14 years. At least right now I don't see it. Maybe when I join a
mhm,
company, then I might end up staying for 14 years. So you never know, right? So that's the thing about life. There's a lot of things we cannot predict, and that might be one of them. Um,
mhm.
so so just being open to any to experience things, even though that means you get to a company, and then if you see yourself working there, if you see yourself contributing to something that you feel passionate about, then go for it. Then work there for the rest of your life. If not, then move on. Like, find another company. If you only work there for 1 year and then you have to go to another company, then just go for it. Um, like, don't like settle for things, I would say. But yeah, I don't think there's a such thing as like your dream company, in a way. I think it's too, I don't know, I think I'm too young to kind of like debate on that, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a really good point because where I see is that before, maybe let's say our parents' time,
Mhm.
you were supposed to stay in a company for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that that was the fear. I mean, that was the fear I had because there was still like an unconscious belief that I had when I went into the job market. But then I
Mhm.
look at people and they keep on jumping companies, which was something that was seen like it's a bad thing, you know. This person can just cannot stay. But right
Mhm.
now, I think it's changing because our
Yeah.
generation just, you know, we want change and we want things to be different. And
Right.
even if we really like the company, there's a point where we just I'm saying we, I'm talking about the entire generation, you know, but I'm just
Right.
generalizing. Like you
Right.
just stop and you're like, I really like this company, I really like my job, but in a place where I need more growth. And then you
Mhm.
go out and you explore more because we keep on like wanting to change, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to grow, not because we're just unstable, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the company or with the
Hmm.
job you're doing. It's just doing the fact that you just want to explore something else. You just want to put yourself out there because at the end of the day, let's say you die the next day, they will find someone to replace you anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well like, go after the things that make you feel happy, that makes you feel fulfilled, I would say. So yeah, don't feel bad of like trying a different company or trying something new. It's your life, right? So do as you please
And be happy.
and be happy.
And yeah,
Yes.
and find what makes you happy in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I also like to think that this idea of a dream job can be something that you enjoy, whether it's a dream or not. It's your dream now, and then it changes. But it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
never gonna love 100% of what you do
Mm-hmm.
every single day. It's just not possible. But if you
Yeah.
like what you do, like 70% of everything, of your tasks, of the people you interact with, of everything, then I think it's good enough to
Yeah.
go, because then you have more things. You should have more things outside of just your 9 to 5 if that's what you choose.
Mm-hmm.
So to back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's say that I'm a student right now. We're like playing charades now. I'm a student and I want to be an operations analyst at NASA. Okay, how do I get there? How do I go about it? What are the steps?
Oh boy. um Well, I think it depends on the person. So if you're coming
Mhm.
from a space background, if you're coming from a scientist background, things like that, you can definitely feel confident enough to just, go on the website and apply to work at NASA or any other company that you want to work at. But
Mhm.
if you feel like you're gonna have to compete a lot, which was my case, right? Which was my situation. I was not coming from a space background before I get into NASA. So I had to network like I just mentioned earlier. I go on LinkedIn. It's free. I highly recommend, right? All you have to do is to reach out to people. So one day I woke up, create my customized notes, and send them to like 50 people working at NASA. And then from there I was able to connect with someone who was willing to listen to my passion, what I wanted to do if I do get into NASA. And from there he was able to support me as much as possible, such as sending me links that I wouldn't be able to find online because they're just hiring internally within the company. And so I would say whatever your goal is to get into a company, including NASA, no matter what positions, is to question yourself. Am I, if you're qualified enough to feel confident to just apply online, then go for it. But I would also say it's good to network so that you can have someone to advocate for you, someone to help you understand the process. Because like I had no idea how to write my essays for NASA, my cover letter, things like that. But that person was able to give me some feedback on what, based on his own experience, on what he thinks NASA are looking for on those, for those on those essays.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. So even if you think you have the capabilities and you come from a background which is related,
Yeah.
you would still advise this person to network and to meet people and
For sure.
yeah.
I mean, networking is a professional thing. Networking
Hmm.
is not only about getting like connecting with someone and get something out from it. It's about having, meaningful connection at the end of the day. Like that person I'm referring to, like we still talk. We had video calls where I watch him, I watch his kids. I babysat, his kids like virtually while he was working out in the garage or something. So we kind of like create that friendship or that connections. So networking is not only, hey, like, can you help me get this job? But hey, like, I see you working at a company that I'm actually passionate about right now, and I would love to know
Mhm.
more about you and what you do. And then from there, if it is meant to be, then that relationship will continue. If it doesn't meant to be, that's okay. Just move on. There's like 8 billion people out there. I'm just kidding, but there's a bunch of people out there that you can reach out to, and then they will be more likely to help you out.
Yeah, I really relate to that point because I have so many good relationships right now that came simply from me just sending a random message. But
Yeah,
in that random message that led to a conversation that led to me want to follow up, there was like probably thousands of messages I've sent before, and some of
right.
them was, I mean, no one answered, or they answered with just something simple, or then you have a conversation. It's also about you relating to the person. So
Hmm.
in the end, it's just what we feel. Yes, and
Sure.
what is like something that you'd like every job seeker to know?
um, wow. One thing that I would like job seekers to know. Well, I think right now, especially here in the US, it's
Mhm.
very competitive. Like a lot of companies are hiring, but at the same time, it's so hard for some people to get a job, including myself. Because even right now, I'm still interviewing with a lot of companies, but I haven't been able to secure an offer yet. Even though I'm like if you look at my LinkedIn, you might be like, "Wow, this guy is awesome!" Like things like that, right? So I would say when you get rejected as a job seeker, a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. There are times you might be qualified, but the fact that every company, every hiring managers, they're all looking for like a qualified candidate, and they cannot never find that candidate, right? So sometimes it has nothing to do with you. What I would say is definitely keep on going, send that application in, even though you feel like you don't qualify or not, and network with people because your resume cannot tell your personal story, and a lot of people, that's why they connect with you. That's how they see you as a full person, is based on your story. And the resume doesn't really give all of that, doesn't give any of that on your personal story. And you feel like if you are qualified and you're still getting rejected, then definitely keep applying, keep switching out. I know some people, they just want to work in tech, and that's their only goal, is to work in tech. So they're going to apply to only Google, to Microsoft, to Amazon, to LinkedIn, things like that, which is awesome. Definitely go for it. But at the same time, you want to spread out a little bit, explore other things. At least that's what I did. I interned at the European Commission. Then I was like,
Mhm.
maybe I don't want to become a diplomat anymore. Let me do something else. So I switched to Selena, which is in the hospitality industry. Then I was like, okay, that was awesome, but I would love more challenge. So I switched to NASA. So I'm just like pretty much all over the place. It's not because I don't know what I want, it's because I want to explore my options. So I would say if you're a job seeker, explore your options. Go for the tech, go for the consulting, go for the investment banking, whatever that is. Explore your options. You never know.
Exactly. And then that's how we also figure out, maybe going back to like the
Yeah.
beginning, what you want and who you are and what you actually enjoy, because we also have so many misconceptions in our mind of who we are. And we think there's this and there's this. And there's a sentence I like, just adding up and wrapping everything up. So it's
Yeah.
like, you don't know what you want what you know.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
that
like that.
sentence. I really like it.
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So last question for you for right now. I'm super excited. Since you're like a super introspective person, what would you say is the thing that makes you get out of bed every day, motivated for the day?
Oh, wow. So I read a book. I forgot which one. Um, I think it's called the equation of happiness or something. Basically,
Mhm.
it says that when you wake up, you need to find your ikigai. Your ikigai is the reason, the motivation behind why you're waking up today. Yesterday, like for example, right now, like today, I have meetings going on, things like that. But I did not really wake up for those things. There's a bigger picture behind all of this, behind our meeting right now. And my
Mhm.
ikigai, like my passion, what I want to do with my life, things like that that keeps me going, is the first thing is definitely my family. Because I came from a family that has nothing, and I have the opportunity right now to break that generational trauma or generational financial burden that we all had to face, right? So that's definitely one of my main motivation. But my second one is the fact that I know there's a lot of people with, out there, um, the same age as me, or maybe younger or older, whatever that is, who are relying, who are waiting on my success to help them as well. So that means like my success is not my own. I want to use I want to use my skills and what I'm capable of doing to help other people. So I know that when I woke up today, everything I'm doing is not for me. It's for someone out there whom I haven't even met yet, who's relying on me to do something with what I have so that they can have a second chance in life. So I would say that's my Ikigai, is to help other people and knowing that I have access and the resources to help them, and therefore I need to keep continue, even though sometimes it's tough for me. It's challenging. Sometimes I want to quit, but I know that it's not for myself.
Okay. Creating this like bigger picture so you're living also for other people. And
Yeah,
you for sure seeing the impact because you're doing really amazing things. And I
thanks.
hope you continue to make it because it's really interesting to follow your journey. And I'm also very, very curious to know who is gonna be the lucky company to lend you an offer. So yes, thank
For
you so
sure.
much for this time. Everyone that is watching, if you're not following Gary, just go follow him because you need to.
Yeah,
And
anytime.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank
anytime.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today and sharing a little bit about my story. But yeah, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn if you need help with job or with life in general. I'm always open. I do have a busy schedule, but I'm open to listen and to give people resources that I have access to.
That's very appreciated. You just send
Yeah,
them like lend coffee chats with amazing people, create more meaningful connections.
for sure, for sure.
Thank you, Gary, again, and have a nice day.
All right, thank you. I'll see you around.
Bye.
All right, bye bye.